Beneath the shifting sands of Egypt, beneath even the great pyramids that finger the sky like stone prayers, lies a deeper secret, one not etched in hieroglyphs or buried with pharaohs, but whispered in the shadows of temple corridors by initiates who knew death to be an illusion. The 7 secret rites of immortality were not mere rituals. They were living transmissions, a sacred technology of consciousness passed through the mystery schools of Heliopolis, Thebes, and Memphis. To speak of them is to tread the razor's edge between history and myth, for these rites were never meant to be recorded, only experienced, only embodied by those willing to stare into the abyss of their own soul and emerge transformed. Imagine, if you will, standing in the inner sanctum of an Egyptian temple at midnight. The air is thick with Kifi incense, coils of myrrh and honey rising like the serpent of wisdom from the altar. Before you stands the high priest, not as a man, but as a conduit for forces older than civilization itself. He speaks not of mortality, but of its transcendence, not through the preservation of flesh, but through the alchemy of the eternal Ka, the luminous double that survives when the body returns to dust. This was the true aim of the rites, not to evade death, but to master the art of becoming deathless, to navigate the Duat, the Egyptian underworld, not as a supplicant but as a sovereign. Yet why do these ancient secrets matter now, in our age of silicon and satellites? Because the hunger for immortality has not faded. It has only been misplaced. Modernity seeks to conquer death through cryonics and digital avatars, through genetic tweaking and AI replication, all the while blind to the truth the Egyptians grasped millennia ago, that eternity is not a destination but a quality of consciousness. The 7 rites were not about living forever in time, but about stepping outside of time entirely, about realizing through direct experience that the essence of who you are was never born and will never die. The mystery schools understood that immortality is not bestowed, it is remembered. Each rite was a key, designed to unlock a chamber within the initiate's own being. The first might reveal the illusion of the physical body, the second the malleability of identity, the third the art of soul travel beyond the confines of space. By the 7th, the initiate no longer believed in immortality. They knew it as surely as they knew the beat of their own heart. This was not faith, but gnosis, direct, unshakable knowing carved into the bones through ordeal and revelation. Today, the sands have swallowed most traces of these practices. The temples lie in ruins, the priestly lineages fragmented. And yet, the rites persist, not in papyrus or stone, but in the living current of those who dare to seek beyond the veil. For the path to immortality was never meant to be easy, nor was it meant for the many. It was and remains the birthright of those willing to die before they die, to shed the illusion of separation and stand, at last, in the unbroken light of their own eternal nature. The ancient Egyptian mystery schools did not pursue immortality as the modern world imagines it. Endless years tacked onto a human lifespan, the frail body preserved like a relic in glass. Their understanding was far more radical. True immortality is the realization that consciousness itself is the fundamental fabric of existence, and that the adept, through rigorous initiation, could awaken to their own eternal nature. The 7 rites were not a linear sequence but a spiraling ascent, each one dissolving another layer of the illusion of mortality. At the heart of these teachings stood the principle of the Ka and the Ba, the luminous double and the soul bird. The Egyptians did not see death as an end, but as a separation of these 2 aspects. The Ka, the vital essence that mirrored the physical form, and the Ba, the mobile bird-like consciousness that could traverse realms. The rites sought to unite them before physical death, creating the ANKH, the radiant, undying being of light that could move freely between worlds. This was not metaphor, but experiential truth for initiates who learned to project their awareness beyond the body, to send the Ba soaring into the Duat and return with knowledge of the unseen. Central to this work was the concept of the weighing of the heart, often misunderstood as a post-mortem judgment. In the mystery schools, initiates underwent this ordeal while still alive, their hearts measured not against a feather of truth, but against their own capacity to release attachment to illusion. The heart that could balance in perfect equipoise, neither heavy with regret nor light with frivolity, became the seat of immortality. Modern neuroscience now echoes this ancient wisdom. revealing how the heart's electromagnetic field influences perception and intuition, how coherence between heart and mind creates states of transcendent awareness. The rites also engaged with the alchemy of the subtle bodies. Egyptian priests mapped the human energy field with precision that predates the Hindu chakra system by millennia. Their initiations activated the sekam, life force, through precise sound, geometry, and the ritual use of sacred metals: gold for the crown, silver for the brow, copper for the heart. Each rite corresponded to a transformation in these subtle anatomies, preparing the initiate to withstand the voltage of expanded consciousness without disintegration. Perhaps most crucially, the mystery schools taught the science of sacred names. To know the true name of a thing was to hold power over its essence. Initiates spent years mastering the vibrations of divine epithets, not as empty recitations, but as sonic keys that could rearrange matter and consciousness. The modern world has forgotten that words can be spells, that certain phonemes at certain frequencies can alter the structure of water, the behavior of cells, the very fabric of reality. The seventh and final rite was said to bestow the ultimate name, the secret sound of the initiate's own immortal essence. Underlying all this was the unshakable axiom: immortality is not a reward, but a recognition. The rites did not create eternal beings. They revealed what had always been eternal. The sandstorms of time could bury the temples, but not the truth they guarded: that beneath the ephemeral self, beneath even the gods themselves, burns the undying light of consciousness that has no beginning and will have no end. The walls of the Temple of Hathor at Dendera whisper an esoteric truth in their astronomical alignments. When the Nile flooded at the heliacal rising of Sirius, initiates would gather in the crypts beneath the temple to perform the rite of the unseen sun. Here, in total darkness, they would enact a ritual drama where the candidate played the role of the solar bark lost in the 12 hours of night, not as mere ceremony, but as an embodied journey through the layers of their own psyche. The priests knew what modern psychology would later confirm: that the human mind best receives transformation when wrapped in symbol and story. A lesser-known papyrus fragment from the Temple of Ammonius at Karnak describes the rite of the two feathers, where initiates balanced an ostrich plume on each palm while reciting the 42 negative confessions. This was no test of physical steadiness, but a living metaphor for the dualities of existence: light and dark, order and chaos, mortal and divine, that must be held in equilibrium to access immortality. The feathers represented Ma'at's cosmic order, and the trembling hands of the initiate revealed where their psyche still clung to imbalance. Those who succeeded reported entering a state where time dissolved, where they stood simultaneously in the temple and in the starry womb of Nut. Perhaps most revealing is the allegory of the 7 scorpions of Isis from the Metonyx stele. Each scorpion corresponds to one of the secret rites, their venom not a poison but an alchemical catalyst. In the story, Isis uses their power to both protect the infant Horus and initiate him into his divine destiny. This mirrors the initiate's journey. The rites sting the soul awake, their seeming toxicity actually the burning away of illusion. Modern practitioners note uncanny parallels between these scorpion symbols and the 7 endocrine glands, suggesting the Egyptians understood the biochemical dimension of spiritual transformation millennia before Western science. The most profound symbolic narrative comes from the Book of the Hidden Chamber, where the sun god Ra must merge with the corpse of Osiris at midnight to be reborn at dawn. Initiates reenacted this in the pyramid's subterranean chambers, learning that immortality arises not from avoiding death, but from embracing it, by letting the temporal self die while the consciousness observes the process. Those who completed this ordeal emerged speaking of having swallowed eternity, a phrase modern near-death experiencers unknowingly echo when describing their encounters with the infinite. These stories were never mere mythology, but multidimensional maps of consciousness evolution. The scorpions, feathers, and solar barges exist within every seeker, not as symbols to interpret, but as living forces to be reconciled. When the rites speak of becoming Osiris, they invite not worship of an external god, but recognition of the undying consciousness that has worn countless forms across the millennia. The ancient rites were never meant to be locked in the past. They pulse through the present moment, encoded in the rhythms of breath, the architecture of cities, and the silent spaces between thoughts. To integrate their wisdom is not to mimic priestly gestures, but to awaken the immortal current within ordinary existence. Here lies the paradox. Eternity is not found by escaping time, but by penetrating its illusion so completely that each moment becomes a doorway. Begin with the practice of the two suns, a modern adaptation of the solar rituals performed at dawn and dusk in Heliopolis. As morning light first touches your skin, stand facing east and inhale through slightly parted lips, imagining the sunlight entering as liquid gold filling your heart. At sunset, exhale slowly through the nose, visualizing this light now transformed into silver moonlight and radiating through your palms. This simple daily alignment echoes the ancient unification of Ra, solar consciousness, and Thoth, lunar wisdom, training your nervous system to hold higher voltages of awareness. The Egyptians understood what quantum biology now confirms, that sunlight carries information beyond mere vitamin D, and that human DNA responds to these precise solar-lunar rhythms. The weighing of the heart becomes a contemporary mindfulness tool when practiced before sleep. Lie supine and place one hand over your heart, the other holding a small stone, preferably black basalt or rose quartz. As you review the day's events, feel the stone grow heavier with each remembered moment of fear or inauthenticity, lighter with each instance of courage or truth. This is no mere reflection. The Egyptians knew the heart emits an electromagnetic field that interacts with crystalline structures. Your nightly reckoning becomes literal alchemy, the stone a physical anchor for your consciousness to recalibrate toward Ma'at, cosmic order. For those drawn to sound work, the vibration of secret names manifests through vowel toning at sacred sites or even urban power spots. The 7 Egyptian temple vowels, believed to activate the subtle bodies, can be adapted to modern environments. Sing a resonant ANKH near electrical transformers, echoing the ancient use of copper. OOO near bodies of water, EE, in libraries or data centers. The initiates taught that certain frequencies rearrange matter, an idea modern cymatics research validates. Your voice becomes a tuning fork for environments, revealing how ancient rites anticipated the concept of resonant frequency in quantum physics. The most potent modern application lies in dream incubation, a practice perfected in the Serapeum where seekers would sleep between sphinxes to receive visions. Create your own dream temple by placing 2 identical objects, candles, crystals, or even smartphones playing binaural beats, at your bedside to form an energetic gate. Before sleep, whisper an invocation to Anubis or your higher self while holding a question carved into clay or typed on a device. The Egyptians understood that liminal states access non-local consciousness, what we now call the quantum field. Many report receiving strikingly clear answers within 3 nights, often through symbols that mirror ancient initiation imagery. In relationships, adapt the 42 negative confessions as a communication tool. When conflicts arise, instead of reacting, mentally recite modern equivalents. I have not spoken without listening first. I have not confused fear with truth. I have not mistaken the temporary for the eternal. This creates psychic space where arguments transform into initiatory trials, each confrontation an opportunity to balance your personal scales of Ma'at. The workplace becomes a living temple when practicing the oblique gaze, a technique depicted in tomb paintings where initiates would view reality through peripheral vision. During meetings, soften your focus to 30% while maintaining awareness of the room's energy dynamics. The Egyptians knew direct vision engages only the conscious mind, while peripheral sight accesses intuitive knowing. You'll begin detecting unspoken alliances, hidden tensions, and creative solutions that linear thinking misses, reactivating the eye of Horus perception that sees beyond surface illusions. Ultimately, these practices reveal that immortality isn't about duration, but depth, the ability to fully inhabit each moment's infinite layers. When brushing teeth becomes a purification ritual, when a traffic jam becomes an opportunity to practice the patience of the Sphinx, when a lover's quarrel becomes the weighing of 2 hearts, this is where the ancient rites live today. The mystery school's true secret was this: eternity isn't gained after death. It's seized now, in the quality of attention you bring to the ordinary, transforming it into the sacred. The sands of Egypt have long swallowed the physical temples, yet the true sanctuary was never made of stone. It exists in the unseen architecture of consciousness, where the 7 rites still unfold for those with eyes to see. This is the final revelation. Immortality is not some distant achievement, but a present-moment recognition that you are already standing in the midst of eternity. The ancients did not build pyramids to escape time. They encoded them with the mathematics of awakening so that millennia later, when your gaze lingers on their geometry, something dormant within you might stir. The call now is not to worship these rites, but to live them. When you catch the morning light and feel it stirring memories of a life before life, that is the first rite knocking. When you stand at a crossroads, heart pounding with both fear and exhilaration, that is the weighing ceremony in modern dress. When you wake from a dream that feels more real than waking, that is your Ba returning from its Duat journey. The mysteries were never confined to initiation chambers. They are the hidden patterns beneath your everyday existence, waiting for you to align with their frequency. Begin tonight. As you lie between waking and sleep, that liminal space the Egyptians called the Zep Tepi, first time. Ask yourself not, how can I live forever? But what in me is already eternal? Feel for that thread of awareness that has witnessed your entire life without aging, that silent observer behind your thoughts. This is your immortal Ka, your divine double. Feed it not with rituals alone, but with the quality of your attention, with moments so fully lived that time loses its grip. The final gate stands open, not in some lost pyramid corridor, but here, in the way you breathe, the way you meet another's eyes, the way you let go of what no longer serves your soul's expansion. Walk through as the initiates did, not seeking to become immortal, but remembering you always were. The choice was never about finding eternity, but recognizing it has already found you.